and welcome to prompt number 67. I decided to not pencil this ant before doing it, and I regret it a little bit, but also it's an Easter ant. A little late. Let's see what the prompt is. And fishing fly and black hole. Okay. Okay. Here we go. As weird as a combination as this was, I was pretty tempting to do sort of a cop-out thing that was a twist on the words, I suppose. The word was fishing fly, which is basically a sort of lure you use while fishing that looks like a bug. But I was tempted to do a bug, the fly, fishing for fish, because it was sort of a spin on the prompt. It was taking it another direction that wasn't actually the prompt, but I kind of felt like, I don't know, maybe it was a bit of a cop-out, so I thought I would actually draw a fishing fly and, you know, do what they wanted. Though, again, I did it in my style, sort of. I've been getting a lot of requests to show the penciling of the prompts, and although I usually do this at night when I'm sort of winding down for the day and I kind of take my time, I do a lot of editing on it, I thought I need to start doing it, and I keep meaning to, and I keep forgetting, but I remembered this time. So if you can't tell what my idea is already, basically, and this is getting kind of crazy, it's a cat in space who is wearing a spacesuit because they're in space, sitting on a boat, like a normal water boat, though they are floating away because they're in space. They have a can of worms next to them because, again, they are fishing. They have the fishing fly on the end of their string? Fishing line? Fishing line. And there is a giant fish coming out of the black hole. So as you can see, none of this makes sense, but I had a lot of fun putting this idea together. And as usual, I wasn't really feeling this prompt at all, and I was quite dreading it. But once I started to put the ideas together and I started to pencil the drawing, I became a lot more committed to the idea in the drawing. These prompts can be very frustrating because you have to do everything they tell you, and sometimes they just don't go together at all. Black hole and fishing fly, those are completely two different things on opposite areas of this universe. One's in space and one is on Earth. I think it takes a lot of creativity, and I'm not saying I'm the most creative person, but coming up with ways to put these objects together sometimes, they are crazy, and some of them are just not inspiring and really hard to get something creative out of them. But that's why it's called a challenge, eh? So although I do start off not really feeling it, I was really surprised to see myself really getting into this one, because I actually have a story for this character. In fact, it's not just the cat, but the cat is working with the fly together. They are partners because they are out there fishing to provide, well, I guess the original idea is that they work for a fishing company in space because now there is fish in space, but they are chasing after this really rare fish that is only by legend. It's so big that it comes out of black holes. Usually the fish are, I guess, normal size, like a fish would be on Earth, but they have found this giant fish that comes out of black holes, and that's really hard to find. And of course, it's really dangerous to fish because it's at a black hole and it's gonna suck you in. So the cat actually works with the fly. The fly isn't just a bug, it's wrapped around the string. It's gonna be brought back in and not eaten by the fish, hopefully. It's a dangerous job, but it pays well. And there are just a lot of details that I really like about this drawing, and as you could already tell, I am completely talking about this in the wrong order. I wanted to play around with a even bigger border than I normally do. You know how I like to put those white borders around illustrations and having characters on the outside of it? I just wanted to see what it would look like if I did an even bigger border. I think normally I do 1/2 inch, maybe 1 inch. But this time I thought I would do 1.5 inches, just have this space as a small section, and keep a really large border. I don't know why I thought about doing this, but I just wanted to play around with it. I guess because space is just a blob of color, I've done space 100 times, and although it probably would bring the whole drawing together and it probably would have made the black hole look a lot better if it were in space, I quite like the outcome of this drawing and I like it. I also wanted to focus on my colors, and I know I always say I don't like the color purple, but I actually use purple a lot for shading. And I even tried something new with my space. I know space is like really easy, it's not something you really have to practice that much with, but in the past I've always used black for space, and this time I thought, what the heck, I need to start using purple. A really deep purple mixed in with black to create just a little bit more color. it's not just black back there, there's a little bit of color. It brings the whole thing together, I think, because I used so much purple and blue in this illustration. One of my focuses on this particular one, which I guess is really common, was to really focus on that purple being in the whole drawing. Purple, red, and blue were my main colors, if you can't tell. And although I did worry that it would be too much, I think it really brings it together, and I am quite happy with it. I'm also really happy with just the worms floating around. I thought that was really cute. Being a fishing illustration, I thought it would be funny to just have her in a boat, just floating there in space, because this isn't something that would work, but it's funny and it's cute, and she's not even in the boat. She's floating away from the boat, and the can of worms aren't even in the boat because, again, they are floating away and worms are going all over the place, and I just thought it was kind of funny. But are you guys ready to talk a little bit of negativity? I think it's important to talk about stuff like this. And again, I am quite happy with this illustration, but let me just talk about a couple of things that I am well aware of that I do want to focus on. One thing I did want to focus on with this illustration was perspective, and I utterly failed. If you notice in the sketches, there were a couple of times when I made the fishing fly a lot larger than the original, I guess, dog that was fishing. And that was because I wanted to force the perspective that the fishing fly was a lot closer to the viewer, and the fishing character was a lot farther away. However, when it came to this drawing, it looks like the fish is only just about the same size as the cat, when in reality, I did want to be a giant fish, and I did want the fly to be, well, now that I look at it, if it was a giant fish, then the fly would be a lot smaller, but I guess in this world, the fly could be bigger. Anyways, I think one thing that I could have helped accomplish this was to push the cat way farther back. That cat in the boat really should have been much smaller, like half the size, and just farther away looking, and that fish should have been the dominating, I guess, character in this drawing. The fish should have been huge, and that cat should have been much smaller to show that the cat was far away. But honestly, I guess I just really wanted to put a lot of details and just focus on the cat drawing because I knew the fish was going to be kind of boring. But either way, I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. Maybe this is just a small fry giant fish, huh? It's just a baby. In the future, they will find the giant one. This is a baby. Actually, now that I'm looking at the finished illustration, I think maybe I came up with the story afterwards, and I was thinking that it should be a giant fish because black holes, I think, are normally pretty big. So I think afterwards I was thinking it would be a giant fish, and that's the story I came up with afterwards. But while I was coming up with the idea, I think originally it was just going to be a normal sized or just a slightly bigger fish. Because like I said, I was talking about having the fly closer to the viewer, but again, it still just doesn't look like I pushed the cat far back enough. So either way, didn't work out. It didn't work out. Either way, I hope you guys enjoyed this prompt, and I will see you at the end card to look at last week's. So before I talked about the prompts, I just wanted to say how funny it was that about 90% or more of you didn't do more than one trophy just like me. This is me calling all of you out. We're all in the same boat. Anyways, let's talk about Toe Town's adorable drawing in that giant onesie with a trophy of a potato that says, "You suck." It's just so simple, it's so cute, I really liked it, and yeah. And Hamsterminator, who put the 2 trophies and not the 1, and especially that tea drinking trophy. And of course, your style and outfit is adorable. Thank you all so much for joining, and I can't wait to see what you do with Fishing Fly and Black Hole. Bye!